my screen froze. So I'm going to try it again, but it looks like Julie is here too.
Hello, Julie.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, looks like we are good to go on the YouTube end, so I'll go ahead and read the statement, then we can get going. To reduce the spread of COVID-19, Leawood City Hall is currently closed to the public. For the Tuesday, May 11th Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting, the committee members will not be physically present in the City Hall and will instead be using Zoom, an online virtual meeting tool, and live streamed on YouTube. A link to the live stream is posted on the city's website, and notice of any future meetings using this or a similar virtual meeting tool will be posted at www.leawood.org. Each committee member, staff member, or presenter must first state their name and title prior to speaking or voting. Please also ensure your microphone is muted when not speaking. Public comment will not be allowed during this meeting. The chairperson is reminded to clearly state each motion prior to voting and will announce the results of the final vote. And you are good to go. Karen, you're muted.
You're muted, Karen.
All righty. I am going to call the Leawood Parks and Recs Advisory Board meeting for Tuesday, May 11th, 2021 to order, please. This is Karen Ward Reimer, chairperson of Leawood Parks and Recs. And I am going to do a roll call attendance. And if everyone, when I call your name, if you would just say here. And then I want to remind you before you speak, if you would please state your name and then also say that you're a park board member, and then go ahead and speak. And then we will do on voting, I will do a roll call voting and call you by name, and then you can say aye or nay, however you want to vote. So that's how we'll proceed with our meeting. We'll get it kicked off now. Do I hear a motion that we approve the minutes from the April 15, 2021 meeting? Oh, let's see, I forgot the roll call vote, attendance. Let me do the attendance first. Sorry, you guys. After I just said I was going to do that. Okay. Jolynn Hobbs.
Here.
Okay. Greg Williams.
Here.
And Bob Wright.
Here.
Here.
Okay. Now we'll go to a motion to approve the minutes from April 15th.
This is Jolynn Hobbs, advisory board member. I motion for approval.
Okay, it's been moved by Jolynn Hobbs to approve the minutes from April 15, 2021. Do I hear a second?
Greg Williams will second it.
And Greg Williams seconded. Okay. We'll do a vote on that. Jolynn Hobbs? Yay or
Yeah.
nay? Okay.
Yay.
Okay. Greg Williams?
Yeah, hey. And yes. Yay, whatever.
Right. And Bob Wright?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The minutes have been approved and moved and approved. Okay, so we are ready for old business.
Karen,
Yes.
this is Chris Claxton,
Mhm.
Parks and Rec Director. I just wanted to know if everybody out there knows how to use the raise hand function. I just say that because if we use the raise hand before we want to speak, then it's easier so we don't talk over each other. And Camille, I think you can let everyone know when a hand is up. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So ready for old business, update on the trail projects, City Hall to Tomahawk Creek.
You want me to go, Chris, or?
Yes, please, Brian.
Okay. So this is Brian Anderson, Park Superintendent for the city. Yeah, just to update you on that, we did find out about, I guess 2 weeks ago now, that we did not receive our recreational trails grant. So I did find out, I'll remind you, there were 19, counting us, there were 19 other applicants. And this recreational trails grant, it has a little over $1 million that was available for funding projects. However, a percentage of that had to go only toward motorized trail projects. So in the end, there was about $860,000 or so that they were able to, I guess, fund. They haven't told us who got them. I kept pestering them and found out a little bit early, actually, that we were not going to get one. So we still have the cost share grant. I guess I'll call it that program, a grant that KDOT oversees, that Chris and David Lay applied for. And that does have a larger pot of money available this year. I think it was $25 million. But we have no idea how many projects are out there, and it could apply to a lot of different types of projects. So because we're waiting on that, we have reached out to our design engineer. We asked him, we're starting to go through all the plan documents and update those documents to prepare them to advertise for bidding. And so, what that amounted to, I was looking through the documents again today, because we had them finished back in, November of last year. And we were kind of I was looking through there today. We just have to decide, how much time we need, how much time for bidding. We did want to have a pre-bid meeting for anybody that was interested in learning about the project to actually meet and review, the project details and things, so that they had an opportunity to get questions answered and things. So we want to set that up and then kind of plan out what council meeting we'd be aiming to have a construction contract on a council agenda for. So that's the update there. Unless anybody has any questions, be happy to answer them.
Okay, if there aren't any questions, we ready to move on to B, update on restroom project at the North Lake?
So, yep. So as far as that goes, just to give you an update, we did have a site design contract that was approved at our last council meeting. And so what we're doing there is we had a meeting looking at all the work that needs to happen just to be prepared for the building to be, when the pre-manufactured building arrives, to be installed. So what that entails is elevating the building up out of the floodplain, and then accommodating paths that meet ADA to access the trail and also the parking lot that we have at the North Lake. And so we're looking at probably the closest two parking stalls being ADA accessible parking stalls. And those would be like if you think about it there, if you can envision that parking lot out there, they'd be the northwest stalls in that furthest corner, actually. So we're planning on putting the building so north of there. We did have a pretty good meeting actually with McCarthy which is a general contractor that's working with the Johnson County wastewater treatment facility. They had expressed some interest in possibly being of assistance on this project. And so when Alice Hawk and I met with their representative out there at the site, we talked a little bit about what the project would entail and what's going on. And they seemed interested in exploring the possibility of looking at this as being a way that they could contribute to it in a services type of role. So right now, we're not sure, what that would mean, whether that means they would be able to maybe do the site work for us. Maybe it's providing the labor for the concrete that is necessary or the asphalt that we use. Or just, maybe just reviewing the project and offering advice. So how we'll move forward with that is as we start moving forward with the site work planning, we'll include them, we'll invite them to the meetings and get a better feel. Once they see what's needed and maybe what the scope of work is fully going to entail, we're going to have to bring utilities from the west side of Tomahawk Creek Parkway. We're going to have to connect to a wastewater line that's just to the north of where the building's going. Things like that. If they, or maybe some subcontractors of theirs that they can ask for assistance on could help out. That would be a kind of a in lieu of a financial contribution. It could be a really good working relationship. So we'll see what they're able to help us out with as we move forward. And we do have just planning for the building. We've got a meeting scheduled with our planning staff and our design engineer, and Chris and I will be there, and we're going to show them the floor plan and the materials that we're considering using, for the exterior of this prefabricated restroom. And then we'll get their feedback and their advice on how this works with LDO, things like that. Because there is a lead time in the manufacturing of this restroom. So this is a little bit different. So it would be nice if we could have some idea that the building is meeting all of the LDO codes and things like that we could, perhaps order it early so that it's being manufactured while we're still planning the site work and we're getting ready to work on the site stuff. So there's no delay. So I hope that's not too confusing, but that's what's going on with that. And so we've been making some progress. And yeah, unless Chris, if you have anything you want to add, that's pretty much it. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
I don't have anything to add, but I think we may have a hand or two up.
Okay.
Chuck Sipple from the City Council. Brian, I know you haven't done the design yet, but what's your estimate of how far we have to raise that site to get it above the floodplain? Are we talking 2 feet or 6 feet? Fill dirt in there to get it above the floodplain.
So yeah, I was kind of under the assumption we'd have to get 6 feet high, but I believe when we just had a meeting, we just met last Friday and talked about it with our engineer and our public works people. And Chris, I recall that was less than that. Was it not more like 4 feet up is what we needed to raise it?
Yes, Chris Claxton, director. Yeah, I believe 4 was going to be the max with maybe the hope of 2 to 3. After we got rid of those boxes, then we didn't have to bring in as much fill. That's something else that I forgot to mention, or Brian may have mentioned, is that's something else that McCarthy may be able to help us with, bring some fill in from another project. But yeah, so 6 feet would have been a little bit more of a challenge, but I think we're down to 4 max.
Yeah, and one of the reasons we thought that much at first is when we were first considering this restroom, we were thinking that it would have to be it would probably have to be like an unsupplied by utilities type of restroom. What that means is like it may have a fresh water reservoir tank that's below the ground, and that's what's used for the sink or for flushing the toilet, things of that nature. And now that we're looking at, well, we can get it up out of the floodplain and we can actually bring water to it, that need to have that deeper foundation isn't there now. So that helps, I guess, as far as challenge of raising the building up. So it shouldn't have to be, it sounded like it didn't have to be 6 feet high. So that's good. That's less fill dirt we'll need. And then that's less of a kind of a distance we have to make up trying to connect to the trail system to comply with grades and things for, say, an ADA access issue.
Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
One more question, Chuck Sipple, City Council. Do you know where we stand on fundraising to cover the cost of this? I know the City Council has allocated a certain amount and then the foundation has a certain amount, but do you know over the course of the summer what their target is in terms of raising additional funds?
Brian? This
Yeah,
is
that's,
Chris Claxton. You talked to Alice about that again, so I think she knows that it might be a little bit more than 175, which was their original goal. But that's one of the reasons we're hoping that McCarthy decides to partner with the foundation and with us to reduce that. The foundation has the money now. They just don't, they just don't want to deplete their reserves down. So they're moving along. I know they've gotten some good donations. I just don't know how much right now. Brian, do you have anything to add to that?
nope. No, I think that's it. That's all I know. Thanks, Chris.
Okay, if there's no more questions on that, let's move on to the next agenda item. Update on July 4th fireworks display.
All right, I'm going to start, Kim, and then I'm going to let you finish because you're going to lead into new business. Chris Claxton, Director. So we were given permission by the City Council to move forward with the fireworks display. And I'm going to let Kim talk a little bit about what that means, what the show is. We just made our second deposit, so it's a $35,000 display. And Kim, if you want to take over from there and add anything else that you might have regarding the fireworks.
Yeah, sure. It, as Chris mentioned, it's a $35,000 display. It's 22 minutes long. So basically more fireworks in that same time frame that we've had every year. I'm sorry, Kim Curran, Superintendent of Recreation. Forgot to add who I was. But it is going to be the same amount. We do have a new vendor this year, Rainbow Fireworks, who was kind enough to let us pay our deposit last year. Obviously, we didn't have the show, and then just roll that deposit over for this year. So right now, we have been given permission just for the fireworks at this time. I know here sometime in the near future, there's going to be a decision made on other activities of what limitations we may or may not have. So we are kind of starting moving forward, just gathering our stuff together. Should we be able to do a full event again, working with a few food vendors, looking at carnival games that would minimize the touch and surfaces, like we'll probably get rid of bounce houses. And then just, if we are able to have a band, probably have circles painted out on the median in the center. As you know, that place does get fairly crowded. So we do our best to social distance on that.
Kim?
Yeah.
Why don't we see if there's any questions about the fireworks before we move
Okay.
on to new business, because Karen will need to recognize that we moved on to new
Okay.
business.
So anybody have any questions on the fireworks themselves?
Julie Kane, City Council. So for painting circles on the in front of the band, will we be painting circles out in the field that are everywhere else, or why would we do it there and not everywhere? Or why do we have to do it at all if the mask mandate is lifted and, things are, and we're outside and all that good stuff?
I think, the soccer field. Chris, do you want me to move on with this one or?
She's still on the question. I think her question is about fireworks and painting of the fields.
Okay.
So I would just address that.
Okay.
I know that's something, sorry to speak over you, Kim. I know that's something we hadn't planned on doing because there's no way to determine how many of those circles you need to make. And some of the people will be seated. I think one of the reasons we thought about doing it in the island was, and we'll get into this a little bit more because I asked Kim to prepare some information for her presentation, was it's a lot more compacted there. And I know for some of you that have been out in that area, I know Amy couldn't make it tonight, but she's typically in that area, and maybe a few of the other of you have been there. There's a lot of people trying to squeeze into that space. So that was kind of our thinking there. It's just a much more restricted space where the field, you can spread out a little bit more. So that was the reasoning behind that. Does that answer your question, Julie?
I suppose. I'll be anxious to see what we end up deciding to do.
Okay.
But I know time will tell. Fortunately, it's only May 11th, so we've got some time here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no more questions, we'll go ahead and now move on to new business and discuss the July 4th activities and recommendations.
Kim?
Okay. Yeah, as I was mentioning, as we have been given permission just for fireworks, we are starting to work with everybody, everybody from the bus vendor, which we've talked to them about, the loading of the buses and just, they're going to have the windows down. We can't pack the buses full anyway, because generally people have coolers, strollers, lawn chairs and everything else. So that wasn't, if we are able to do that, we are working with the bus company. Again, some of the carnival games, we're trying to get something that they'd be distanced. We're looking at like the mountain climb, the trampolines that we had a couple years ago, a big fiberglass slide with the burlap bags, which were around when I was a kid, as well as the fireworks and hopefully a band. So we're looking at those items with the hope we can move forward. Right now we have six different food vendors in addition to the Boy Scouts, which will be selling soda this year. So we're going to look at laying the park out. So hopefully, as y'all know, Fern Concessions funnel cake line generally is fairly long. So we're going to look at the layout, find the best place to place the food trucks to where folks can socially distance while standing in line as well. So we're hoping that we get to have all the activities, but and then let's see if anything else. We got rid of the wristbands this year. We aren't having face painting. We're going to have balloon artists instead. So just a little bit different activities if we do get to move forward. Yeah, Julie.
Julie Kane, City Council. Will the police be doing their thing and the fire be doing their thing? Because I know that's always a hit with the kids.
That we haven't talked about. If they're going to be in the park and we are doing activities, I'm sure they will, because they will be on hand, not only to assist us with the fireworks themselves, but also the police are generally on hand with their command posts, because we do use a lot of their resources to help us with parking and traffic control on buses as well.
Well, and once again, it seems to me that if we're having buses, which I'm thrilled about, frankly, why could people get on a bus and we have to paint circles in front of the not to be argumentative, but that's awfully close quarters on that bus. So why would we have to do circles in front of the band and yet we can run buses? Well, seems like those two don't go together.
Okay, well, the buses haven't been approved yet. I mean, right now I just have fireworks. So like I said, we're just looking to move. We're just getting our ducks in a row in the event that we do move forward, just because it does take us, we need quite a bit of lead time to get everything together for this. So not that that's been approved, but on the buses, they're not going to, if we are allowed to move forward fully, they won't be on the buses as long. You're looking at people being in the lawn up to 4 hours together, as opposed to 15 minutes on a bus.
That's a good point.
Chris Claxton, Director. No, Julie, I think you have a very valid question, and we're still trying to work through some of the logistics. We wanted to talk with you tonight because we're within, 2 months here, and we wanted to hopefully get a recommendation from you all. So some other things that we're doing is some of those touch points, like we talked about, if it's the climbing thing. We do have these portable hand sanitizing stations. So those will be available there. So, if kids want to use it before they go up or after they go up, hopefully their parents will do that. But, they don't have to. It's just there in case they want to. It's kind of like playground equipment, and things are outside. We've had 0 issues with playground equipment. I haven't heard of any of the local Johnson County municipalities, actually on either side of the state, that have any problems with playgrounds. They're all open. And the food vendors, I just asked Kim, make sure they're going to be spread out. We'll probably just do some, Brian will love to hear this, just some small little standing circles so we don't have people right on top of each other. I think we're going to take all the precautions that we can and still have people come and be able to come out and enjoy it.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, maybe we won't have the circles in front of the band area. It's like everything. I mean, I feel like people have to take responsibility for themselves at some point.
That's exactly my point is when does unless there's a certain liability with the city, I mean, it's an elective thing. If you want to sit in front of the band, sit in front of the band. If you want to ride on the bus, ride on the bus. But, the whole thing is elective. We're not making anybody do anything.
Correct.
So,
and even with masks, we may say masks are strongly encouraged, but we're not going to say you have to wear one.
Right. Thank you.
I might put in here to give you a little bit of guidance. Went to the zoo this last week and we rode the train or the little shuttle from one place to the next, and they put people in every other bench seat. So you weren't right on top of people. So it made it nice. They did ask us to wear our mask while we were on the bus or on the shuttle. Once we got off and we were outdoors and we were looking at all the animals, then we didn't have to. So that's kind of what they're doing in May. July may be a different picture, but just kind of give you a heads up of what's going on there. So
Chris Claxton again, Director. Kim, I don't know that you've done this yet, but you may want to see if you can reach out, or I can, to OP. It's kind of the same situation. If we're the only one doing it, that could, around this area. I do know that Miege canceled theirs. They were all to do it. And then they said, no, we're not going to do it. And they were, of course, with Fairway, Roland Park. Who else, Kim?
It was Fairway, Roland Park.
PV?
No, because PV is just doing their drive-through event in the morning.
Okay, well, there was someone else.
There's somebody else in that group. It was
Westwood.
Westwood,
yes.
yes.
Westwood. Thank you, Karen.
Yes.
Did they say why?
So,
the only thing I saw was just a very simple statement about logistics. That's all they said. So, but it could be other things. It could be funding. It could be staffing. It could be the police said, we don't have, we're busy everywhere else because they're such a small, activity. They don't have the resources that we have, even collectively. So anyway, but I would like to know what everybody else is doing. And I'm just looking at, today, if you saw the post, there was some information about what other municipalities are doing, just in general with their facilities. So, it sounds like most municipalities are kind of easing their restrictions on indoor activities. And so it's kind of the same thing. If they're easing them on indoor activities, you would think they would be easing them on outdoor activities. So we'll check with that. I don't know whether that's going to have any bearing on your recommendation. I'd be happy to get the information together as quick as I can. But, if anybody really has any heartburn about this or doesn't feel like we should be doing some of these things, we'd certainly like to hear from you in the discussion.
Chris, this is Jolynn Jordan. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chuck. You had your hand up.
Oh, thank you, Julian. I was just wondering, Chris, if you and Kim are looking for guidance from either Ed Eilert and his people or from the governor. Is there guidance coming down? Because all municipalities in the state are kind of in the same boat, thinking about how they can satisfy the citizens of their group to 4th of July, and
Yeah.
has somebody queried either the county or Topeka?
Well, I don't think we have. I mean, I've read what they're saying, and to that point, I think they're all saying that they're just making suggestions that people continue to wear masks, but I don't think they're enforcing it that I can see, especially not outdoors. Now, I don't know about indoors, but this is an outdoor event. So, but we will check with, like I said, Overland Park, and of course the county's not doing anything anymore. And we'll do our due diligence to find out. But
What
again,
about
I mean,
Kansas City,
if you
Missouri?
think, we're having soccer, right? We're having t-ball.
Right.
And it's the same thing. They're encouraged to do it, but we're not going to be out there saying, if you don't have a mask on, you have to leave the soccer field.
Well, you're having symphony in the park too. That's coming up.
Right. Same thing. And we won't require it. We won't say you can't come if you don't wear a mask.
Okay. All right. Well, keep us posted. Thank you.
Julie?
Julie Kane, Deanna Rose is open now, and from what I understand, there are no restrictions. Wonder Scope is open now. I know this because of my grandkids, and they released they undid all their restrictions, and that's inside. So I think, like I said, it's only May, but by the time July rolls around, I think it's even going to be wider open. But we have to plan, like you said, we have to get the buses ordered now, if indeed we end up having them. We can't wait till the 11th hour. So I'm proud of Leawood. Once again, I'm proud of Leawood for what we are doing. And, thankfully we do have the resources, and thankfully we do have the team, because it's been a long stretch, and I certainly hope that we can have the bulk of what we usually do. And then if people come and celebrate, great. If not, then that's fine too.
Jolynn Hobbs, board member. I'm just curious, do we need to have the food vendors, Chris? Is that a requirement for the event, or have we considered maybe simplifying the event this year and maybe just doing the band and the fireworks, and maybe provide water or something simple like that?
Chris Claxton, director. We haven't, but it kind of goes along with everything else. I mean, a food truck, by the way they operate, they're inside, you're outside. So it's not much different really than going through a drive-through. I was at Hereford House yesterday and drove up and got my lunch, and they took it to the car. They're just going to hand it out. And we would have those portable picnic tables that we have in our event trailer spaced out. And typically when you have that, most people won't sit together anyway. Under normal circumstances, if they're not in the same family, people feel kind of weird about that. So, but
Yeah.
you could always make that recommendation if that's what you're thinking.
Well, I was just thinking that if a decision isn't made, because I know you guys have to prepare in advance, and if the decision's not made and it doesn't give you guys adequate time to maybe get everything together, just as a resident, if you guys were hosting the fireworks and some music, I would be grateful for that. I'm also a huge proponent of personal responsibility, and so when I make a decision of where I'm going, that's on me. And so I'm with Julie as far as it's been a long haul. So I think the families of Leewood would welcome the opportunity to engage in a normal tradition or activity and just to be able to get back to normal, well, as normal as we can, I guess, our new normal.
Yes, and to that point, you know, the food business is pretty good. I mean, people do enjoy coming out and getting what's the frozen ice cream slushy, whatever that's called, Kim.
Oh, the
They-
Kona Ice.
The Kona Ice, you know, and the kids walk around with that. Everything we do is pretty much a handheld, so they don't even have to sit at the picnic table. They can walk around or they can take it back. And I will say a lot of families, some bring their own little picnic baskets and, you know, sit out on that lawn and enjoy fried chicken or sandwiches or something too. So again, I think just having them spread out, and people can make some choices. Kim, can you just kind of run down what you have? I'm sure you have a variety, and I think Katie's got most of them already on the hook.
Yeah.
I mean, not that we can't say no, but we aren't having to spend the next month going out and looking. But Kim, can you share?
Yeah, Kim Curran, Superintendent of Recreation. Right now we have Kona Ice, Fern Concessions, who does hot dogs, hamburgers, funnel cakes. The Boy Scouts are going to be selling pop and water this year in place of us. We figured that would be a great partnership. We're going to have Kettle Corn, Between Two Buns, which is a sandwich shop, Casey Koshery, which is a Leewood food truck. So we're excited to have them. And also the Tasty Unicorn Ice Cream. So as Chris said, most of it is handheld. Most of it is snacks. It is nice to have pop and water provided. Sometimes it does get hot out there and people sometimes don't pack enough of stuff that they need. So, you know, like Chris said, I think most of them are handheld. We can spread them out. We can look at the layout and move stuff around because we have that whole north parking lot to work with. And with the change of some of the carnival, not carnival rides, but if you will, the carnival activities, we have some open room that we can work with. So I think we can accommodate them.
Right. Like Kim mentioned, you know, it didn't make sense to us to have the bounce houses, right? Let's put a bunch of little kids in an enclosed space that they're jumping all around, breathing and spitting on each other and everything else. So let's not do that, you know, but we can do other things where the kids can still have fun, but they're not, you know, squished in together like that. That just, you know, and we're not going to say those things. I mean, I think people that come will understand that, oh, they still have these things to do. Like Kim said, well, no face painting because that's up close and personal. We can do the balloons. We can do, you know, we will not be doing everything we always do, but we will be doing more than we did last year, if that makes sense.
And adding
Well,
some
I
new
think
things
the
as well.
residents are going to appreciate whatever Park and Rec provides.
Thank you.
So would you like a recommendation from the board to take to council?
I would like a motion, please, because we will take this to the council and I will explain to them. Of course, they have, you know, they'll have access to the minutes, but I would also go over with them again in detail, probably show them the layout of everything and what our thoughts are and how we plan to administer everything so that if they're ready to move forward with an approval, they get what we're going to be doing. But I think it would be helpful to say, yes, we did talk with the park board. We had a long discussion. Here's their recommendation, and then the council can make their decision. Greg, did you have a question or comment?
Well, I'll offer a motion if that's okay.
That would work too.
Karen, is that okay? I'll offer a motion.
Mhm.
I move that we agree that the fireworks display should move forward and that all the other activities such as the, you know, band, et cetera, should be evaluated based on, you know, vaccination rates, et cetera, and health, you know, just all overall the climate of COVID as you get into late June, which I think is going to be a very positive outcome. But I think we should recommend that we definitely do a fireworks display. And then let, because we're 60 days away, we're 55 days away, let the decision be made, 40 days from now, 45 days from now. That's my motion, if that makes sense.
Okay. Greg, I might shorten that a little bit. Is that okay? There has been a motion made that we move ahead with the 4th of July activities and to be responsible and put in as many activities as the climate allows us in July of 2021.
Jolynn Hobbs, I second the motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we move ahead. Is there any questions? Any comments? Okay, we will do a roll call vote then.
Karen, Camille, can I ask you to repeat the motion, please?
Okay. Did Camille hear you?
And actually, Karen, would you mind repeating the motion, what you said?
Okay. Hopefully it's the same as when it started. The motion was moved and seconded that we go ahead with the 4th of July activities and that we be responsible with what other activities besides the fireworks, move ahead with the fireworks and be responsible with other activities that the climate will allow us to have in July of 2021. Okay, did everybody get that?
Yes.
Okay. Now we will do a roll call vote on it. Jolynn Hobbs.
Yes. Aye.
Okay. Greg Williams.
Yes.
Okay. And Bob Wright.
Yes.
Okay, so it has been moved and passed that we go ahead with the 4th of July activities. Okay. Any other comments? All right, so now we are ready to move on to staff reports.
Chris Claxton, Director. Holly, would you please go first?
Sure. Holly York, Cultural Arts Supervisor. Sorry.
And that's
Somebody's
Luna.
walking by.
Hi, Luna.
Luna, shh. So anybody who could make the dedication for Women of the World at the Justice Center, thank you. We had a really great turnout. We had 38 people, and a lot of people enjoyed the live music, the strings trio that we had available. The next art dedication won't be until September 10th, and that is for Rita Blitt, and that's a Friday at 4:00. But first, as Chuck mentioned earlier, we will have a symphony ensemble at the park on May 21st. That is Tomahawk Park. So it's going to be at the soccer fields that are located on the corner of 119th and Tomahawk Creek Parkway. So over by where Walking Woman is. It's at 6:30 p.m. It'll be about an hour. Allow plenty of time for parking. If that little small lot fills up, we suggest parking at the Justice Center and using the crosswalk to walk over. PD will be available to help with traffic control. Really excited. I don't know which ensemble we're going to get yet. Probably won't know until a few days before. And then the art selection panel and Appian Leawood Arts Council have been working, are working through a recommendation for the artist for the new pool house and multipurpose building. Arts Council meets at the end of this month, and the recommendation is for Dirk Van Keppel, who's a glass artist. So there will be some fused glass above the transom of the multipurpose building. And then behind the admissions desk in the breezeway of the pool house, sort of like a freestanding, it'll be several glass pieces that are mounted within sort of a glass frame, very durable, very sort of Chihuly-esque. I think it's going to look great. So that moving forward in that process.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. It will be
Good.
awesome.
Yeah. Another thing that I'm working on is we've sent an agreement to the author for the Leawood history book in celebration of the 75th anniversary. And that book will be 1997 to 2022. So we're moving forward in that process as well. She's a Leawood resident. And Lisa Harrison actually recommended her. Catherine Houlihan.
Holly. And did you
Yes.
want to share that we did interview 3 prospective authors and felt like she would be, based on her work and her, mostly just based on her work,
Yeah.
what she was willing to do. So we'll be bringing that agreement to the council, I believe, on Monday.
Monday. Yep.
Okay,
Thanks.
thanks.
Last week I attended a training held by a volunteer group called the City of Fountains and a Save the Monument group. I don't know if anybody's familiar with them, but they sort of survey public art and they submit it to the Smithsonian to go to a part of the Smithsonian's catalog. And so they haven't surveyed Leawood for probably about 10 years. So I'll be sort of a long-term project, but updating what they do have and adding our collection so that information gets sent off to the Smithsonian. And then Plaid Collaborative is still working on wrapping up the master art plan, and that is going to have they're going to have a work session with City Council on June 7th. And then just gearing up for everything this summer, training with the school marm next week, gearing up for summer camps, Grinnin' and Groovin'. And then just a reminder that the first cinema in the city at City Hall will be Friday, June 11th, and that is The Little Rascals, and that will start at dusk. So any questions about arts?
Hey, Holly, also, I think your camps are doing pretty well.
Camps are doing really well. Art Party is sold out, and Mixed Media has 9 kids, and we still have room in Artful Stories and Little Artists, and the Little Artist Camp is for 4 and 5-year-olds, and there are not a whole lot of options for that age group. Julie.
Are we limiting the camp attendance to just Leawood residents like we're limiting our pool?
It is open to non-residents. The max I have in camp is only 12. And as of right now, all the kids are wearing face masks and they're at either end of a table, and the tables are spaced out about 6 feet, and as many supplies that they can have individually that they use that whole week, they will have. So like they'll have their own set of scissors, their own set of markers, crayons, colored pencils that one kid touches for the whole week.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Holly? All right, Brian?
Okay, so this is Brian Anderson, Park Superintendent again, and probably the first thing on my list will be update on the park maintenance facility. That was approved at the Planning Commission for the design, and so that's going to be on May 17th's council meeting for a presentation and then an approval moving forward with that. So that's been going really well. We've got a meeting next week to start looking at maybe some of the interiors of the facility. I was trying to just share it. I mean, some of the questions, I guess, that the planning commission had were, of course, they asked if this was out of the floodplain. It is. The buildings are out of the floodplain right now. The only thing we are going to fill some on is where they like the employee parking area, and then some of where our material storage. So think about like gravel, topsoil, things like that. We're going to actually fill in to level up to what the public works facility is at, so that we have a little bit more room on the other side of the utility lines. So that was a great question, but we're all good there. Then I did have a conversation with, there's kind of a med spa building, a business that's going in, just on the corner there of 143rd and Kenneth. And the owner was not able to attend our Interact meeting. And so afterwards had kind of emailed the planning staff, basically kind of his recommendations about laying out the facility and so on and so forth, but which weren't kind of in line with what we're doing. So I had the opportunity to send him some renderings and show him what our facility would look like. And from his point of view, from his business and things like that. And he actually replied back that he loved it and he was happy that to see us coming in as neighbors. The building looked good. I think our building actually kind of goes a bit in terms of the color and the theming with that med spa building. So I think that whole going along 143rd Street, it's going to look at least similar and fit. So that's a good deal. And really, I think those were really the only questions that main concerns that we had that they had, or questions they had for us. So other than that, I thought that the building looked, that everything looked like it was going to look good. So yes, Julie.
Any update? Somebody at City Council asked about the solar, if we were going to end up being able to do any solar that came up the last time we talked about it.
Yep. Yeah, that came up at our Sustainability Advisory Board meeting too last week. And so what we're looking at right now is the project has a total project budget, and this is including design fees and everything, of like $14,980,000. Our architects are thinking the construction budget of the building is going to be around $12 million, maybe $600,000. That's carrying a contingency, an 8% contingency right now because of concerns about, some building materials, things of that nature with the climate we're in right now. What we're moving forward with is planning for the ability. We're going to bid that, but the plan right now is to have that as an add alternate in our bid package. So if numbers come in favorably, it's within our budget, and we can then afford or add the solar, then we may revisit that. And that would I feel like that would we'd have to probably go through a kind of an update to the final plan, I suppose. If we're adding solar panels to certain roofs, make sure that we comply with the LDO. And then we'd also want to have the information, like what's the return on the investment? How much energy do we feel like this will generate for us? Early on, they're thinking if we do add this solar, it could be anywhere from 30 to 50% of our energy. They thought that the solar panels may be able to provide. So it sounds like there's, at least from setting a good example or encouraging people to look at solar, it might be something that would be of interest. So
thank you for that. Yeah, I think if we can, I think we should. And that seems to me the council kind of was leaning that way, especially with the climate initiatives that, in the metro, well, everywhere, but our metro is adopting those initiatives. So I think that would be, to lead by example is a good thing when we're building a brand new building.
Something else along that green theme too, is I thought, right now our city's fleet is all based on fossil fuels and things like that. what I do want, what we're recommending is it wouldn't be very expensive at all, as I think we need to plan on at least running conduits so that if we decide to at some point maybe transfer over to electric powered for some vehicles or something, that we have the ability to add, charging sites. And I guess we haven't really decided if we think that if it would make sense to to plan on maybe a charging site in the employee parking lot or something. I don't know. We only have 25, maybe we're planning on maybe, 40 parking stalls, something like that. So whether that would be something to look at, but it's something we could at least maybe plan for. And if the time's right and the conditions warrant it, then it'd be something we could maybe add at a later date. So that's another thing that we're looking at. And then we're also, just so you know, the design of the building, we're taking advantage of a lot of passive light, with some of the roof lines, a little bit reminiscent of some of maybe what you saw at that aquatic center building. So, we're trying to do what we can. The architects have done a good job of trying to limit the energy need and, maybe use a lot of natural light when possible and things like that to conserve energy as well. So.
Well, I think that's super great, including the electric, because it is the way of the world. And that building will be in use for decades and decades. So I think planning for that, and then given what happened with the security breach down in Texas, and they're having issues all along the East Coast already with gas because of the cyber attack or whatever you call it. I think we need to plan ahead, and that's one thing I think the city does really well is think long distance, or long term rather. So yeah, I think that would be great. At least we keep that on the radar for the future, because it is the future. At least part of our fleet will be that way for sure at some point.
Yeah. Any other questions about the maintenance facility? Okay. Well then, I guess moving on, I'll just a little bit about like Ironwoods Park. We've got some projects going on out there too. We've started. We're doing a fire pit area renovation. Chris has been wanting us to fix that place up for quite a while, and so we went after it this year. This is the area up by the cabins, and it was an area that it doesn't really work. It didn't really work really well for the groups that we had, and we weren't real happy with the way, just kind of the gravel base around the fire pit, things like that. So Dustin and his team have gone in and cleared everything out, and Dustin spent a lot of time designing something, moving around some of the retaining walls, and then we're talking about maybe moving the location of the fire pit, having something more, I guess, traditional looking, and then adding some landscape. We'll probably get to the landscape. It'll be in the fall. It's something that we decided as a staff at a staff meeting the other day that, we think it's work we're fitting in as we go along doing everything else we have to do at the other properties. So we're working on that. And we anticipate we'll do most of that work just out of our operating budget. And then the other thing we've been working on is planning for the pond dredging at Ironwoods, and looking at, the bridge, the new bridge we'd need. Something else we found out is the other bridge, that other pedestrian bridge, there's an abutment on the east side of the creek that's got a lot of erosion coming to it, to the point where we need to fix that. And so we've asked our engineering team to actually look at planning to fix that. So what we're probably going to end up doing is we're going to have to put in like some ready rock wall sections in the creek channel to protect that abutment that's getting undermined currently on that old bridge. So this is that bridge when you're coming across from the parking lot by the lodge and you're going across to the amphitheater. It's that pedestrian bridge right there. And it's only that eastern abutment, not the west side. That's the channel's just cutting in on that east side. So some additional there. As far as just planning out, we're talking about trying to move the silt out of that pond, and then deposited over on the east side of on our undeveloped park area, kind of out of sight. But that's where we want to lose that dirt, from what we excavate out of the pond. So anyway, any questions about that? And okay, I think the other thing I wanted to talk about was Dustin organized an event with some high school students, and actually Lisa Harrison even talked about it and knew about it, and Dustin had already been contacted by the people, but Lisa on the tree committee. And the International Global Day of Service, we had about 40 students from Shawnee Mission School District that planted 40 trees that were provided by them at Tomahawk Park, so on the south side of 119th Street, and we got it all done on a Saturday morning. So if you visit the park, you'll see a lot of new trees going all around that perimeter of the trail, and you'll be able to see them. They're smaller than maybe what we would normally buy, but they were free, and it was a good project for high school students to learn about planting trees. And we had a tree committee member that was out with us, and a couple of our staff, and Dustin and I, and so we had a good time working with those students, and so turned out really well. Jolynn, did you have a question? Okay, Chuck.
Thank you, Brian. Chuck Sipple, City Council. On the trees, are Dustin's people going to irrigate those trees once every couple of weeks so they survive? Is that part of your plan for the rest of the summer when it dries out to keep them so they survive?
Yep, that's the plan. The good thing about it is we do have the creek nearby, and we've got some portable pumps that we can throw a hose into the creek and we can siphon water out and water trees that way. And we also have a portable kind of a heavy duty golf cart that we can fill up with a couple 100 gallons of water at a time. We've got a pump that we can drive out and water those trees. So yeah, we'll do our best to take care of them, and hopefully all of them survive. So
thank you, Brian.
Yeah, you're welcome. I guess the only other thing I was thinking about too is the golf course parking lot's been upgraded. Chuck or people on the golf committee probably know that was going on, but we added some islands out there and we added some trees. So that's great for long term. We'll have more shade in the parking lot. Irrigated those islands and irrigated the perimeter around that parking lot that wasn't irrigated in the past. So I think it looks pretty good. And I know that they added some gates and things like that for better security, but I was more involved with really just thinking about landscaping and things like that. So, okay, that's it for me. Unless anybody has any questions.
Brian, this is Jolynn Hobbs. I have a question for you. I was asked about the pond that is on the east side of Tomahawk Creek, why that's so low, and if something's going on with that. And so I just said that I would check in at our next meeting and find out what's going on with that particular pond.
Yeah, sure. So that's the middle pond, as we refer to it. And so what goes on there is that I think what we believe is going on is that the soil's pervious enough or porous enough that the water slowly migrates back into the creek. We don't know where. We can't find a specific point. So it may be several. It may be, maybe several areas or whatever. But what I always notice is once we have a high water event or a flood, and that pond will fill up and it'll stay full for a couple of weeks. But as you watch it, it'll start slowly kind of going down and down and down, and then it kind of reaches an equilibrium with what's going on over at the creek. So I really think it's just kind of flowing over and just kind of saturating through the soil back to the creek eventually. And so that's what we're dealing with. It's been a project we've talked about, and it's in our CIP as far as planning to have it, I guess, researched and to better figure out exactly what's going on, and then try to figure out and get, a design or a repair done, but it hasn't been a project we've got funded yet.
Thank you.
Jolynn, just a little bit more information for you. Brian's correct about what he said. So back in the day, it used to be that the North Lake would be low and the Middle Lake would stay better. But when the development happened on the west side of Tomahawk Parkway, that runoff from the parking lots now goes to the North Lake. So the only water that goes into the Middle Lake is what falls from the sky. It doesn't have any, other contributing water. So we are working with our engineer to give us an estimate of what it would take to preliminary engineering study, a PES, so we can determine what the cost might be and try to figure out a way to add that back as a project into our CIP. I agree with you. I drive there multiple times during the week, and I always see it and say, boy, we really need to fix that. It's just, the other ones are beautiful, but that one's just isn't. But we hope to have it fixed, maybe in the next year or two for sure. I know that sounds like a long time, but we've got so many other projects ahead of time. So I hope that helps answer a little bit more.
Thank you both. I appreciate it.
One other thing I wanted to go back, Brian, on a couple things from your report. One, we did recognize Arbor Day at the council meeting on May 3rd. And Brian and Dustin did plant a nice dogwood, I believe he said, Brian. I was trying to get out there to take a picture, but then the weather was so crummy at Brook Beatty. So there's a lovely new flowering tree up at Brook Beatty, and that's going to be very nice to the landscape. Also, we requested and received permission from Scott Lambers, our city administrator, to add a new maintenance employee, and that employee will go on Dustin's crew. They just have so much more to take care of with trees and landscaping, and so we're very fortunate to get that approved. And then the last thing, Brian, from your report is, I know your team is really struggling to get seasonals. We have had 0 applications for seasonals for our maintenance crew that does mowing and trimming. So if you know anybody, or if you know of any resources that we can contact, HR does a wonderful job. I think we're paying right, but you can drive anywhere around the metro and there are help wanted signs everywhere. And I feel like, kids and young adults just have so many choices. So anyway, just wanted to put a plug in for you, Brian. If anybody knows, let's try to get you some help.
This is Jolynn Hobbs. What type of time investment is for that position? What do you need, Brian?
Yeah, so we're allotted 4 positions. One of those positions is one that could actually work like 1,000 hours. So say May through up to November type thing. And then the other 3 are more of a summer funded situation. So college students are typically who fill those positions in the past for us and work really well. Those 3 positions we tend to give to the turf team. So the mowing crew, they do a lot of helping the mowing staff, and also with the string trimming and things of that nature, and just helping out as just extra hands for some of the work they do. And then that other position, we usually have put on the horticulture crew. And so they're someone that works with the full-time staff, but watering flowers, watering trees, we just talked about, for example, would all be tasks that they would do. A lot of weeding, a lot of mulching, things of that nature. And it's a 40-hour work week, Monday through Friday. They start at 6:30 in the morning and they're off work by 3.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, Chuck.
I'm reflecting a little bit on Holly's presentation, and I think the Parks Board should know that a couple people on the City Council have received some criticisms from people that up until this year did not live in Leawood and wanted to use the pool to get a pass. And this year, I think we're planning on Leawood only. And I just want to make sure that we all on the advisory board are consistent in how we apply the Leawood only rules, whether it's the arts camp or whatever it may be. It seems to be a sensitive issue with people that live right on the periphery of Leawood. You know, they want to bring their kids to the pool and so forth. And just be aware of that. Holly, I'm not trying to change the way you're doing your arts camp. I think it's great, but it could be a sensitive issue. At least as far as Julie and I are concerned, we see these emails of people that are irate and it's not fair and this is a precedent and what are you trying to do to me? And it's always been something important in our family and it, you know, goes on down. So just be aware of that.
This is Chris Claxton, Director. Let me speak to that if I could, Chuck. And I know Kim's going to have a little bit of that information in her report. So we had Leawood residents only last year as well, not just this year at the pool. Last year, we allowed non-residents to do swim lessons. Swimming is a life safety skill. We feel it's important to teach as many kids as we can. But the problem is with the pool is that you have to control how many people are in there to make it safe for everyone. And we can do that in swim lessons. You know, we can do that in some of our other activities. So that's part of the issue. And the other thing is some of the people that we've heard from, and I understand their frustration, believe me, we're not in this to make people unhappy. We want everyone to enjoy when they can. Prairie Village is opening to non-residents. Overland Park is opening to non-residents. Lenexa is opening to non-residents. So there are pools close by. However, I will say as an example, some of them are limiting. So if you're limiting your pool to 400 people, let's say, as an example, I won't say who, but there are those that are doing some of this, and they're allowing a residents and non-residents. It's first come, first served. So if I was a resident of one of those municipalities that's limiting and a non-resident got to go in and then I didn't get to go in, I wouldn't be a very happy resident. So I just kind of wanted to share some of the parameters of some of the other stuff that's going on. There are other options out there. You know, like Overland Park didn't open at all last year. They're opening 4 of 6. And like I said, Kim will share a little bit more. So I think we're just trying to do what we can, but I do appreciate and understand your comment. And I would agree that, Kim, you may want to send out to the board that list of FAQs. That might help them too if they get questions. Would you go ahead and do that tonight or tomorrow?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. We are sending them out. They are posted on the website as well. But yes, I can send you those FAQs. And Chris, would it be helpful too if we sent out what you had in with who's doing what? Do you want me to send that out as well?
Yeah, that would be terrific. Thank
Okay.
you. That gives them a little bit better picture of everything. Thank you.
Okay, I will do that.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay. Yes. Kim, do you want to go ahead with your report and then we'll have Camille with her report and we should be able to wrap it up here by 7 o'clock.
Absolutely. Kim Curran, Superintendent of Recreation. Right now, our big thing is T-ball. We have close to 600 kids enrolled. I think here by the end of the week, we'll hit that 600 number. It's a number we have not seen in years. We did run an abbreviated schedule last year and had, oh gosh, I want to say around 350. So we will be running games Monday through Thursday evenings. So we're excited about that. Similar to Holly's camps, our camps are filling as well. Of course, they are nature camps running on a little bit of a reduced number, and Challenge Adventure Camp is as well. I believe most of their sessions are full with a waiting list. So they're both very excited about that. And then our half-day camps, our Balloon Trees, Super Sports, Creative Creations are filling as well. So for camps, a little plug on camps. I'm going to put in a plug. Brock is looking for camp counselor aides. They need to be 16 years old. We did raise the rate of pay this year to $8. Scott Gamrell is looking for a nature center counselor. or a nature camp counselor, they do need to be 18. They work Monday through Friday, roughly about 8 to 1:30. And then the counselor aides work about noon to 12:30. So we are having trouble filling a few positions there. And then soccer ends this weekend. We've been very lucky with the weather. And thank you to Brian's guys who have had the patience with us with some of the fields. There's been a few times they said, maybe you shouldn't have done that, but we're very thankful to them to let us roll on and make the fields look just wonderful all year long. We started spring tennis. We are out there Monday through Thursday in the afternoons, and hopefully these kids will roll on through summer tennis as well. Summer golf is starting to fill again. We do have some of our sessions full, and so the lodge opened at the end of April. We are running on a reduced capacity there, but we are hosting graduation parties this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it is good to see the lodge up and running again. As Chris mentioned, the pool, we are we still have openings in swim team and swim lessons. And also a plug for the pool, they are in need of front desk staff. Roughly about 20 hours a week, pays $10 an hour. So Brian, I'm sorry, but I'm going to throw my plugs in. But again, our jobs are not full time. So we are definitely looking for a different folks. They do need to be 18, but again, only 20 hours a week. So, and we don't pay as well as Brian, but, but we are looking for a few people as well. So really, I think that's about everybody's up and getting ready to get going. Like y'all said, it's been a while, so we're looking forward to being outside again. And that's all
Okay.
I've got.
Camille, before you speak, I just have a couple things I'd like to share. I'm going to send to you all a copy of a press release. It's going out first thing in the morning. Some of you may or may not know that we had a citizen who actually was saved with an AED, a heart saver, who lives out by Ironwoods Park. And they wanted to give back to the community. So they bought this heart saver, and we are going to be the first one in the county, probably the metro, that's going to have one of these in our park. We're starting with Ironwoods. It's already up at 10:30 tomorrow morning. We are going to have an unveil of it, and the mayor will be out there, Fire Chief Colin, also Brad Robbins from the police department, who helped get everything going and wrote the press release. And so we're pretty excited about that. It's attached to the restroom out there, and she's very appreciative, and she wants to dedicate it to the person who was able to use the AED. Actually, when she was over at Park Place, saved her life. So super excited to be doing that. And then Holly mentioned the art master plan is going to be presented to the council in a work session on June 7th. Just remember, you can always go to YouTube, and any work session or council meeting, you can click onto YouTube and watch. So if any of you are interested in doing that, mark your calendar for June 7th, 6 p.m. The work sessions last about an hour and 15 minutes. So they're right before the council meeting. And I'm going to send this out to you all as far as the press release right now about the heart save. That's it for me. Camille?
Yeah, I will go ahead and go. Rika and I are working on a Vista 154 brochure, proving to be a little bit challenging just because we don't have super high-res photos. So working on trying to get some nice high-res photos from events, working with the Iron Horse staff to get them a little bit more elegant printed collateral for Vista for potential renters. Working on social media, trying to find fun and exciting things, trying to plug jobs as you guys have done this evening, trying to get people hired. Kind of an ever going thing, banners around the city, designing, getting those printed, making sure those get up. Ordering some new signage, hopefully that'll be nice for events, some new A-frame signs. So working on that. And then your next newsletter will be hitting your inbox on May 19th. And that's it for me.
Is there any questions for any of the staff?
I have one real quick question. What time did you say the June 7th meeting was going to be for the?
6 o'clock. Yeah, that's the work session, 6 o'clock, and you can click on the YouTube channel on the agenda that day and you can hear the presentation if you would like.
Thank you.
This is Jolynn Hobbs, board member. If we do have some candidates that are interested in a job with the city this summer, how should we direct them? Who would be the contact person?
They can apply online if they like, or if they have specific questions regarding the rec jobs I mentioned, you can have them reach out to me and I can get them to the right spot. But if they're interested in just applying, they can go to leewood.org. And I believe it's under the I would like to, and it's apply for a job. Or I think it's Leewood, or it might be just leewood.org/jobs. Either way. But yeah, we are looking for a few spots to fill.
All right. Well, this isn't a question. It's just gratitude. I just wanted to thank Brian and Dustin. I noticed the new tree at Brook Beatty, and Brook Beatty is near and dear, and our residents up here in Northern Leewood really appreciate it. It is one of the most beautiful, well-kept parks. And I smile every time I drive by. And so, Brian, thank you to you and your team for doing such a great job. It's basically our only real green space. And so it means a lot to us. So thank you for the new tree.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for that. We have a really talented staff. I tell you, I'm really happy with our team right now. So they do a great job. They really do. Thank you.
Well, let them know how much we appreciate them up here in the northern Old Leewood.
Is it pink or white dogwood?
That's a good question. I didn't ask him which one it was, if it's pink or white. We also are working at Leewood Crossing, though. The guys are up there working at taking out some of the honeysuckle along that trail and cutting that back on the north side. We've been talking to the homeowners up there and just kind of I guess working with them, trying to maintain some screening, but also get rid of some of that honeysuckle and encourage some improvements. And I see a lot of bird feeders and things like that people are hanging down in that park. And there's a lot of folks that walk down there too. So I can tell that they use that place as well.
Yes, we appreciate our green space. So thank you again. Beautiful job.
Okay, do we have any more questions or comments? If not, let's see, our next scheduled meeting date is Tuesday, June 8th. And I see there's a question mark on here for Vista 154. Do you want to address that, Chris?
Well, there's two question marks. One may be either Vista, which we definitely can spread out and have some delicious food. The other is we may, have an opportunity to come back here, but they do a great job out there. And, it's, like I said, that room is big. And if people, want to spread out, they can do it. I don't know about all of you, but our team's all vaccinated, their team's all vaccinated. So it's good to go. But we can follow up on that a little bit. And if you guys want to send me any of your comments, that's great. And Bob, I just wanted to say my 7 o'clock comment was all for you.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
So Bob has moved that meeting be adjourned.
Bob speaks to adjourn.
Is there a second? Looks like
Jolynn Hobbs, second.
Okay, Jolynn Hobbs seconded. Okay, we'll take a quick roll call vote. All in favor of adjourning, Jolynn Hobbs,
Aye.
Greg Williams,
Aye.
and Bob Wright.
Aye. Good to see everybody. Hopefully we can see each other in person next month.
Good to see all of you. And thank you all for your input. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Good night,
sure.
everybody.
Bye,